Hi, I'm Shay Oliver. Welcome to the Priority Paradigm. I'm sharing the stories of amazing people who've made radical changes in their lives for something more important. Today, I'm joined by Rins Nelson, and she has a wonderful story to share with us. So without further ado, Rins, take it away.
Hello, thank you so much for this opportunity to share my story. I do feel it is one that's relatable to a lot of people, and I hope they're able to get some benefit out of it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm in a medical office now. I don't know if you can tell or not, but that's where my journey kind of starts. I was a very ill child. I was in a medical office at least every 2 or 3 weeks until I was 15 with severe asthma, eczema, allergies, you name it, I had it. So I couldn't run and play with friends, and I couldn't do a lot of these things. Medical was something that I knew, so I came here for my career. I loved helping people. I loved being in this world. I liked the identity of being someone in the medical field.
Sure.
It's into play in just a minute. So then I'm going down the road and I realize, gosh, I have the job I want, and I have the kind of the life that I want, and I've maxed out what I'm able to do helping people with the job that I'm in. My health at the time was failing. I was way overweight. I had a ton of GI issues. My asthma was bad. I was at a place where I needed to make some big decisions. Where I was at wasn't going to be okay for me long term. How many of you know that story, right? I hit a wall where this wasn't the me that I wanted to be. I knew there was something else. And I see this in so many where they kind of hit this wall and settle.
Mm-hmm.
And what I tell people is the first step is that you have to know that you are amazing. You have to know that you're worth it.
Awesome.
And it has to be the way that you say it, Shay. It has to be that you are amazing.
Cool.
That's just how it is. So I made some changes. I moved. I started exercising. Gosh, I gained more weight. Being overweight and having the asthma, gosh, that's a big problem, isn't it? I was someone in high school that I had doctor's notes to get out of Fayed. They thought walking a mile would kill me. All of these different things were a part of my story. Doctors telling me I was fine. Career choices. I kept searching for ways to be able to impact people more, ways to be able to help more.
Mm-hmm.
What I learned was you have to know you're amazing enough to help yourself, right? Those doctors all said that, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Your lab work is fine. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. This is the way it is. So 70 pounds later, I hiked 16 miles this weekend.
Woo!
Yes, right? Cheers. And I'm still, walking up and down the stairs at work. So this didn't take me out today. I now coordinate 3 hiking groups.
Very cool.
And help other people realize that they are amazing. So the transition has been from this identity of sick and in the medical offices, whether for work or for myself, to, gosh, there's more than what the doctor says. There's more to life than that. And if I can help you in that way more directly, whether that is through kind of working with people directly or the hiking groups or kind of a combination of the two things, and help people realize that they're amazing and figure out what their path and their journey is, right? Because it's different for every one of us. For every one of the people that you have here, our journey looks different, and it's about finding what your journey looks like for you.
Absolutely.
Real brief on my story. I kind of tried to narrow it way down. There's, of course, many more pieces. But yeah.
Well, tell me a little bit. So you were obviously very struggling with your health, trying to figure out, what were you feeling about yourself as you were kind of, well, as you said, kind of settled, hit that wall, but knew you were looking. What was going on inside you? What were you feeling?
Yeah, I was unhealthy. So a ton of fatigue, a ton of my depression was pretty terrible at the time. I've kind of struggled with that off and on. And I just hit this wall. I knew there had to be more. There, money was still tight, and I couldn't go travel to places that I wanted to travel, or there were things that I wanted to see that you had to walk more than a mile to get there, or leadership things, wanting to take a supervisor role even in my office. But then I realized that would get me away from helping people. Stuck, restless. People ask me, oh gosh, changing jobs all the time or moving often, trying to find something that would be fulfilling.
So what were you doing before you started making any of these changes to really improve your life and find your own journey? What were you doing to try to find fulfillment in life?
Yeah. Again, the job changes and moving a lot, trying to find the job where they appreciated my talents and allowed me to help the patients more. And I was given the time to not just kind of shove whatever at them, but actually figure out what was going to help them. I did move back to Colorado. I had been in Minnesota at the time, thinking that maybe being here where the weather was better would be helpful. I started doing some journaling, and that was a big thing. So whether it was what I was eating and health-wise, or whether it was some gratitude journaling, many of you hear about that, and looking back through that to hear and see when the times that I was the most happy were. When the times in my life, what I was doing. It was being active. It was being outside. It was when I was able to help people. It was, I did a bunch of volunteering. That was part of the searching. Figuring out boundary setting in the volunteer world was a really healthy thing for myself. I think volunteering is an incredible place to learn a lot about yourself, find people that are similar to you or have similar interests. It's also a really good learning ground for a lot of skills. Boundary setting being, of course, one of those. Yeah, those would be the big things.
So if you were, kind of looking back at where you were and then where you are today, what would you say were, if there were any, triggers that said, okay, it's time to start making this shift and I can see that's where I want to go?
Yeah. Oh, some of these are tough ones. One of them was depression related, and it was sitting on the bathroom floor and wondering why I was here. Why were any of my
floor, but why you were here as a human?
Yes.
I hear you.
Sorry. Yes, not why I was in the bathroom, but why my friends were friends with me. Why I was here as a human. Why I was even on this planet, because I didn't contribute anything. I felt the scale getting close to 250 pounds. That was a big one. I had always been right around 200, but 250. Yeah, that was a big number for me. For some reason, I was edging much closer to that number, and that was a big one. I had a sister's wedding coming, and gosh, my sisters are both slim and attractive and healthy and vibrant and fun, and realizing I had none of that at the time. I couldn't dance with them. I couldn't be silly and laugh with them. I couldn't chase the kids around. I couldn't, the dresses, for some of it seems like silly things, but these were those triggers, those moments that all contributed to the why am I here moment. And when I realized that I was looking at potentially not being on this planet, that was the moment.
It's a frightening moment.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Never going there again.
That's a wise statement. Hopefully we can all hold to that one.
Right?
So as you kind of came up to that moment, said, "Oh my God, there's something else here." Yeah. What did you see, even from the bathroom floor or the days after the bathroom floor? What did you see as your path forward then?
I've always been a problem solver, fortunately. And it was, I dove into making some phone calls. Do I need to be taking medicines? Do I need to be finding a counselor? There is something not okay here, and let's get to the root of it. Whether that was, I did end up on medication at that time. I did find a counselor at the time, and the move back to Colorado then, and then that's where some of the journaling came in. And let's get to the root cause of this. And is this a chemical instability in my system, or is this diet related, or is this, what can we start nailing some things down to?
And what'd you nail it down to?
All of the above. It was, a lot of it was diet related for me. It was being outside. But when I was so fatigued, you come home from work and you go to bed. And fatigue and tired are different things for those of you that haven't experienced both. I wasn't necessarily tired. I was just really fatigued. So being able to get outside, getting some of that fatigue down enough that I could get outside and being on the trail, or just being in the woods. I don't care if I'm sitting in a field somewhere. Being outside is a big thing for me.
Tell me a little bit more about that. How did you discover that that was going to make a difference for you?
How did I discover that? I had grown up very rurally. Ooh, my phone is tipping, isn't it? I had grown up very rurally, and that was kind of a comfortable space for me, I guess. I get really kind of claustrophobic and anxiety when I am inside too much.
Sure.
And just needed to, I kind of just would find myself running outside and needing to just get away from it all for a little bit. And whether that was, again, in the field behind the house or here in Colorado, we're fortunate enough to be able to get to the mountains. And amen, right? And stand on that mountain peak and just breathe.
Absolutely. So can you identify what changes for you when you're outside hiking? What's different about you?
Can I put one finger on it? It was an overcoming. It was I had always been told that I would never be able to do those things, and then I did it anyway. And kept doing it and help other people do it. The fresh air, nature. How am I different, though?
What does it do to your emotional state?
Yeah. Freedom. That feeling of freedom that we all chase. It's there. It's seeing those birds soar. It's knowing that I can go anywhere. I started barely able to walk around the block, and now it's to the point I can see that mountain over there and go climb it. I can be on my phone if I want to or not. I get to choose who comes with me. It's freedom.
Or not.
Or not. It's freedom.
Nice. Very nice. So if I could roll back just a little bit to when you were younger,
Yeah.
I'm assuming a lot of people weren't terribly nice to you when you were younger, just based on human nature. So did you have, as you got older, did you struggle with kind of not from a schizophrenic perspective, but the voices in your head, the memories of what people said, the impact of those things on your emotional state?
Yes. The bullying and the mean girls and the pushing everybody away. Yeah, definitely. I also, however, was fortunate enough to have one day, I was 11. I grew up in a very small, very monoculture society. There was no cultural diversity, religious diversity, anything.
Mm-hmm.
And my father worked in the city. And there was one day I was invited to meet to a picnic at one of his employees or coworkers or somebody's house. And I met people there that day that were from different countries and spoke different languages. I met people that day that had different color skin than I do. I met people that day that, gosh, came on a boat from Latvia, dear Madra. And I was appreciated for me that day. It wasn't, I was the sick girl. It wasn't, I was the girl with the rash that day. It wasn't, I'm the girl that can't play and run and has to sit out in Fayed that day. It was me.
Very cool.
And very fortunate that I did that right as I went into middle school, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, good timing.
The timing was incredible. That I was able to, as awful as those girls were, remember that there's a bigger world out there, and there will be people that will appreciate me for me out there, and I just need to bide my time here and get through this, and that it will eventually happen. But yes, absolutely, the not good enough, even the hiking was something that I was always told that I couldn't do, or everything down to hair choices and clothes choices to you're not creative.
Mm-hmm.
Comments in the back of your head that take all this crazy time to overcome.
Can you share how you overcame some of that dialogue that goes on in the back of your head?
You know, I'm incredibly fortunate in the people around me now that I had someone say just briefly in passing, "Oh, you're so creative." No, I'm not. Well, yeah, but you did this and this and this. Yeah, you are. Oh, all right. Cool. I guess we'll deal with that. I'm very fortunate in my friends. I found an entrepreneur group. I've found incredible people through my hiking groups that have really been impactful. But some of it was still back to that day with those friends of my dad's. The woman from Latvia, her name was Madra. She was a big part of my life in middle school and high school, and I didn't see her much, but her words in the back of my mind were always really important.
Carried a lot of weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very, very cool. So, as you moved forward, what drew you to hiking? What was it that all of a sudden you went from Minnesota, you're back to Colorado? I know that now you do a lot of hiking. What was it that drew you into doing as much as you do now?
Yeah, I was in a not good relationship myself, knew I needed to get out. I had an abused, neglected stray dog appear on my porch. And and the guy started not treating the dog very well. And I knew got to get rid of the guy. And I knew if he could do that to the dog, that it would be me next.
Uh-huh.
And so with the dog, they need to be walked.
Uh-huh.
And we would walk around the block, and then we
Uh-huh.
would walk a little further and a little further. And then there was a trail over here that we walked a little further. And then, oh, somebody told me about this cool waterfall. And, oh, that's just a little further. So we went there, and 5 miles turned into 10, turned into 12. And 100-foot elevation gain on a flat trail turned into 3,000 yesterday.
Awesome. So you're in a place now that's much better than you were a few years ago.
Oh, gosh. Oh, goodness. Night and day. Night and day.
So if you had the opportunity to go back to Minnesota or even a little bit further back and give some advice to that young lady who was struggling,
yeah.
A, would you give her advice? And B, if you would, what would it be?
Would I give her advice? That's a great question. I think we need to learn what we need to learn in the way we need to learn it. That being said, if I could say anything, it's you matter. You are amazing, and you are worth all this effort you're going to put in the next 2 years, because it's going to be worth it. And looking at what you want and making sure that you are okay and all the work it's going to take to get there, every minute of that is worth it. And you are amazing.
I like the way you say it.
Indeed. Is that great?
Awesome. All right, so you're a hiker. You got to have at least one good hiking story. I need to hear at least one good hiking story.
Oh, one good hiking story.
Yeah,
Goodness.
I know to say one. Otherwise, we'll be here for a while.
We would be here all day. Let's see. Oh, gosh. How do we pick one? Yesterday, my hardest hike to date, right? Oh, no, I'm going to change that. I'm going to go back.
Okay.
I'm going to go back. I had started these hiking groups, and they're meetup groups. They're free for anyone to join. We're here in Colorado. They're all Front Range based. So everybody come out and join us. There's a beginner group and an intermediate group. It was an intermediate group day, and we were going to do a trail that's not so hard. It was like 4 miles. We were going to snowshoe to a lake.
Okay.
We didn't really know what conditions were going to be. It was May, which here in Colorado in the mountains could mean 80 degrees, and it can mean 4 feet of snow, and it can mean those things on the same day, which was the case this day. The altitude's really high here, which means the air gets thin, which means for someone with asthma, that's challenging. The snow conditions were really actually rather terrible. And the trail we were on, nobody had been on all year. And even with snowshoes, we were sinking in up to our thighs. So, yes, it was awful. And I was at the back of the group, holding everyone up and beating myself up real bad. I coordinate these groups, and here I am holding everyone back. Who the hell am I to be doing this? What in the world am I doing here? I just need to quit. What am I doing? Who the hell am I, right? How many times do we say that? And one of the young, attractive, really athletic guys in the group, dear Andrew, said, God, it just blows my mind you even attempt this with asthma.
Very cool.
Yeah, I still get choked up.
Cool. No joke.
The fact that you're even here is amazing.
That's awesome of him.
Whoa. Yeah. This huge influence in my life. And so we get to the end. We made it. I don't know how, but we made it. This stand is not fabulous, is it? And we get out there, and the 10 of us in the group are the only people for miles in this incredible, what we call a bowl in the mountains, which means it's mountains on all sides and a big meadow in the middle, and we are the only ones there. And the sun came out, And it ended up being this absolutely incredible day. But had it not been for someone saying, getting over the comparison complex, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And saying the fact that you're even here is amazing. One of the hardest things, it wasn't numbers wise as hard as the hike yesterday, but it was physically and mentally one of the hardest things I've ever done, and so worth the view from the top.
Oh, they are. Almost every one of them is.
Indeed, indeed.
Cool. So you've done some cool stuff here in the mountains. You've had some low times,
Yep.
some great experience. What's the most important thing in life?
Here's what I say. You've got to love yourself like crazy, so much that you live your journey.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. That's very good. Cool. All right. So where did you go hiking yesterday that you gained 3,000?
We did something called Roosevelt Lakes.
Okay.
It started near Bailey,
Yep.
Colorado, and then went up. There's a mountain called Rosalie, kind of over near here, and you go up to the saddle, which is a kind of a hump between two mountains, and then you go over that, and there was nothing back there, and then there just happened to be these two little lakes tucked in. And we were just by ourselves on the side of the mountain. The dogs were running and playing, and sun was out, leaves are changing. Beautiful day.
Very cool. So nowadays, you are working with other people to change their lives.
Yes.
What is the most important piece of advice you give to people that are trying to change their lives?
You're worth it.
So simple enough.
You are amazing.
Yeah, no, that's actually, hey, just simple enough right there.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So if somebody would want to learn a little bit more about you or your hiking groups, etc., or get a hold of you, what are the best methods for them to get a hold of you?
Yes. Rin at liveyourjourney.live is my email.
Okay.
Rin Nelson, LYJ is my page on Facebook.
Okay.
We are launching tomorrow, so Tuesday, a page called Lessons from the Trail. And this is going to be everything from what 10 essentials to bring in your hiking pack to this patience and this overcoming and this enjoying the view from the top, whatever mountain it is you're climbing.
Very, very cool. We will make sure to get those links on with this on our website. So what do you want to do moving forward with your life now?
Yeah, what a great question. I want to be more speaking with people and impacting people's worlds that way. Mm-hmm. I want to help people however I can, whether that's the online programs, whether that's one-with-one working with people, getting that message out. You don't need to settle. You are worth all of this, and it starts with living your journey. So however that can happen in the future, however I can help impact people, that's it.
That's fantastic. Well, hey, I really appreciate you spending time with me today. It has been awesome. I always wrap up with one question, and that, yes. And that question is, what question should I have asked you?
Ooh, what question should you have asked me? Wow, that is a great question.
I can take a win and say, man, you ask everything, or there usually is something that really is part of your story that I've missed.
Yeah, it doesn't factor directly into the hiking story. It doesn't factor directly into some of this. And I don't know that you maybe even know it about me. I am a birth mom, which means that I had a baby when I was young and I placed him for an open adoption.
Oh.
Yeah. that has been a big part of this overcoming, and a big part of learning that I'm worth it, that I am enough. Birth moms have some particular opportunities, some particular struggles with worth, personal worth, that as I dove into some help with that, were really influential in some of this overcoming and this worth finding. That is also an avenue of helping other people that I enjoy doing. I keep up with some of those things and am definitely an ear and a person to help people that have chosen that path.
Sure. That's cool.
And yeah, so that would be the other thing about me that maybe would be impactful to people or something, but it's very much a part of that overcoming journey.
Kind of doing that and building self-worth. And yeah, exactly. Well, awesome. Well, Ren, thank you so much for spending the time to me today, and enjoy your next hike.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you on the trail sometime.
Hopefully we will.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.